Am I? Oops. What happened? I think I need my. Why is it showing a recording? Okay.
There. Now I can hear you. You hear me.
Hi.
Hey, how are you? All right, let's see if I can
I'm
turn.
Brenda.
Hi, Brenda. Welcome. Jack's about to join us. I'm expecting hopefully a large group, but we'll see what happens as they come in, right?
Right. Yeah, I had asked you if it was okay if my daughter is going to be coming over.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the more the merrier.
She just started into this, so yeah, she probably won't come in right away. My husband's going to pick her up, so.
Oh, well, that's all right. We're here until 5 o'clock or until everybody shuts me down, whichever happens first.
Okay.
I figured this was going to be the better way to do it. I'm going to try and set up. Hi, guys. How are y'all? Welcome.
How are you?
Zoom. Hey, Jack. How are you? I don't have to invite you in. Here you are. Now, I don't know if Jack is doing a duel on the Zoom with the TikTok or not. But we're going to be discussing. All right. Hey, Jack.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am excellent. Where are you? You're in the UK, huh?
Australia.
Australia. Wow, you're on the other side of the planet. Oh my gosh.
I am.
This time is crazy for you. Hi, everybody on TikTok.
That's true.
What was that?
Oh, I didn't say anything. I just laughed. Sorry.
All right. So for the benefit of everybody who's here for the first time, I decided I was going to start with the suit of wands because it suits with the conversation that I'm about to have with Jack here for a few minutes. We're going to interview Jack and have a little conversation about the difference between chaos magic and, where are my notes? Oh, they're on the other computer. And how our magic differs, right? So that's the idea. And that's then exciting. We'll get into how the energies work with the tarot, or at least the way that I work with the energies with tarot. And then we'll go into the suit of wands specifically. So I don't know if we're expecting anybody else. I was expecting a few more people to come in from my Facebook group, but if they join us, they join us. Hey, Darcy, how are you? We've got a group of 11 people in the TikTok room over here. Hey, you guys, you won't be able to hear Jack because Jack is not live in the TikTok. You don't have a way to do both at the same time, eh, Jack?
No, I don't. Sorry.
No, that's all right. I got 3 cameras going here, so That's my thing. So we're working on wands today, you guys. This is the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands, I consider to be a catalyst. And is she pretty?
She is. She's gorgeous.
This is also, believe it or not, this is the Donald Trump card. That was fun to watch cycle into the election.
How's that?
Some people think I'm crazy doing well, I like to read on politics just to see how they turn out and where they're going to go and stuff like that. And July of 2019, prior to the election, we were reading on who's going to be president of the United States and blah, blah, blah. And Queen of Wands came up, and I took it to mean Hillary Clinton because it was the only female in the deck. Wasn't Hillary. And at the time I said, oh, look, this looks like Hillary Clinton, of course, because it's a female card. Never trust the gender of a card. They don't care. They know what your heart means, right? Anyway, so I sat and I read it, and the fellow who painted the deck, his name is James Battersby, and he said, no, Tina, that is absolutely the Donald Trump card. That's not Hillary. And I said, yeah. And I thought nothing more of the conversation until election day, and they announced that glass ceiling was way thicker than I ever imagined. And I discovered that, and I was so mad. I was so mad at myself. And I woke up the next morning, and I said to James, I said, I may never read tarot again. I can't believe this. And James said, why? I can't imagine why, because we had this conversation back in July, and I told you that was the Donald Trump card, and you didn't listen to me. So, well, I'm listening now. And that wasn't 2019. That was 2014, 2015. When did that happen? Anyway, so that's that card. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit today about the difference between chaos magic and energy magic. Now, I practice energy magic. I feel my way through the universe, and chaos energy, as I understand it, is kind of similar. I got a series of questions that I'm going to ask Jack, and Jack is going to share those, and I will try and repeat back Jack's answers for the benefit of our friends in TikTok and YouTube who are paying attention right now, although there's nobody in YouTube at the moment. All right, so Jack, so we'll start you off. Your first question. So do you identify yourself as a witch or as something else?
A witch, yeah. Yeah, I find that's like, I've always resonated with that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I like the ability to have it separate. Do you subscribe to any particular type of witchcraft, or is this just a moniker that fits for you?
It's more of like a left-hand path. It's like an eclectic kind of chaos, do what I want path, like research, see how that fits in my mind, and if I don't like it, I'll just do something else.
So you're making it up as you go along then, right?
Yeah, and I like feel my way through it because I have a very strong intuition.
That is so cool. So that's kind of very, very similar. A lot of people all the time ask me, are you Wiccan? Do you subscribe to, who is it? H.P. Lovecraft, which is all made up. I don't know where that came from. That's the weirdest damn thing. Anyway, they always ask me if this is that. I'm not reading today, guys. I'm teaching and TikTok. You are welcome to join us. Every Saturday afternoon, we'll be doing classes and help you learn. Right now, I am interviewing Jack Mulvey, who's telling me about the differences between my energy magic and their chaos magic, which so far sounds pretty darn similar. And we both feel our way through our magic. And so that's fun. Jack, how long have you been practicing your craft?
I am coming up about probably 4 years, I think.
4 years. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 41 years.
Wow, that is amazing.
I like to think that I was actually born doing it, but there's a space of time that I have to go back and rework and heal because I didn't know I was a witch during that time. So there's a whole bunch of broken pieces that have to get fixed. So that's kind of cool. Can anyone learn your craft?
Yeah, anybody can. It's like I said, chaos magic is about really developing your intuition. And it's really, I think, is it similar to energy work in that you just really need to learn to like tap into your intuition and go, you know, this fits me, this doesn't. Is that what you kind of do?
Very, very much so. Yeah, very much so. So Jack is saying that that they mix their chaos magic works with feeling their way through it, and it's really hit and miss and pick and choose as you go. Right? Something fits, you own it. If it doesn't fit, if it's not true for you, toss it aside and work your other way around it. Right? Something like that. Yeah, I kind of like it. It sounds very, very similar. So why the word chaos instead of just energy? Because, you know.
Because I've always sort of, like, that's my thing. I've always sort of thrived on chaos. And like, I have always been someone who's just, I don't know, I thrive in uncertainty in that kind of situation. So that, I guess, reflected in my craft as well.
Just pulls you in that way, I gotta say.
It sure does, yeah.
All right. So Jack says that they've been pulled into it. Really, it's like a magnetic attraction, and you grow from it in that sense. Are there specific rules to the creation of your magic, to the spells that you actually work?
I do follow a lot of like general convention, but there's a couple things like we were discussing alive a while ago. In my craft, I don't follow the tenfold or the threefold rule, which is to say if you do baneful magic or a curse or a hex or whatever, that it comes back to you in threes or tens. That never affected me personally.
That was the conversation that got us talking about this, right? I had said the energy comes back tenfold, and you said no, I don't believe that. That's just craziness. So they're in effect. So we're talking about how when you put the magic out there and the magic comes back, I feel that when you put it out there, it magnifies itself when it comes back at you. And Jack feels that it doesn't do that at all. What you put out comes back exactly the same intensity, I guess. Is that the best way to say it? The same intensity, you put it out there, that's the intensity that it comes back. I feel the reason that I feel that it comes back in a much larger quantity is because of the application effect, the co-creation effect, right? Because it's going to bounce off other people's energies and feed off them as it grows, right?
Right.
So that's why I see it that way. I sort of feel it that way too. Go ahead.
Can you explain that a little bit more in detail?
Ooh, sure. So Jack wants me to explain that a little more in detail. So for example, I feel like it's probably got to do with my Asperger's, because I'm hypersensitive and everything is bigger than life, right? Nothing is ordinary in my head, okay? And loud sounds are louder and colors are brighter and all that sort of thing. So if what I've discovered is that when I put something tiny and offhanded out, and then it comes back. No, I haven't messaged you, Darcy. I got to figure out how to get you the message. How can I get it to you? Do any of you guys that are from TikTok happen to follow DE Halfpenny, that you could find a way to
I think I do.
invite her into this?
I could just follow her if you want.
I just can't figure out how to get an invitation off on one of these things when they're on 3 different computers.
Am I inviting them to the Zoom call?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
And then she'll have the link. So she's not going to come in, or are you going to come in? I hope you're coming in. Well, it's okay, Darce. We'll get this to them. We're here till 5 o'clock, so we got plenty of time, and nobody's in too bad of a hurry. Jack's just going to send you an invitation, darling. You should be in a minute. And
I just sent it.
Oh, beautiful. You should have just received it, darling. So for those of you who are only getting half of the experience here, we're doing a combination TikTok YouTube Zoom tarot class here. And hi, happily ever after. Is that Anne Catherine? So you won't get the entire experience on YouTube or on TikTok until I replace the YouTube version later with the actual Zoom session that we are recording here. And but that's what we're doing. We're talking about tarot and chaos and energy magic, and then we will focus on the suit of wands, because it is all about energy, which is the whole conversation today. All righty, are you back? There's Jack. All right.
Yes.
So my next question for Jack: when have you discovered a key or trick? When don't your spells work, or why don't they work when they don't work?
That's a really good question. I think it's usually because I get distracted and my intent gets scattered, and then that's when, you know, like I might have a misfire or something, and it's because I'm horrible. Like I have ADHD, so I'm horrible at sitting down, or I'll hyperfocus, you know, like it's one of the two.
Right.
And yeah, sometimes I struggle with that, but I'm learning to overcome that slowly.
Oh, that's fascinating. So I asked Jack, so well, you heard the question. Jack says that they, when their spells don't work most, it's because they're not really paying attention to their spells. Now, in my case, I work with energy magic, and when my spells don't work, it's because I've tested them. So what'll happen is I've created the spell, and then I will sit back, you know, a couple of weeks later, and I'll say, oh, damn, that spell hasn't come full circle yet. And what ends up happening is that the spell can't happen because now I've rewritten the rules by questioning it. So it's interesting magic. This is Darcy coming in. Darcy, Australian. They don't pronounce the R the way we Canadians do.
Darcy.
Welcome, Darcy. All right, next question. How do you see good and evil?
I don't know that I necessarily see good and evil. It's more so, I don't know, it kind of comes back to that energy thing again. It's like my feeling, do I feel like, you know, this entity or whatever like wishes to do me harm, or do I feel like, you know, I let a lot of entities pass through my space. Some are negative, you know. I had a really nasty one the other day that was throwing things around the room, so that was fun. But it's I don't know. It's more. I don't know that I think about it in terms of like good and evil, just whether or not they want to do me harm.
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it for sure. So Jack says that as far as good and evil goes, it's not really a belief in one over the other, or even the two of them specifically. It's more a matter of the energies that are passing through Jack's space are recognized as either being say friendly versus not so friendly. Would that work for you? Does that sound about right, Jack?
That sounds spot on, yes.
Cool. So I have a similar belief, except that I do believe in good and evil, but it is a human trait, and we develop it as we grow from birth. So as we get to know other human beings, we learn how not to love each other, because for whatever reason, I can't be all that and a bag of chips if you're in the room, because you're stealing half of my air, kind of thing. And we teach that conflict with each other. So that kind of goes, that's where the chaos energy that I feel like I'm dealing with on a daily basis, right? That's where when the chaos energy kicks into my magic, it's because my energy is out of balance. And so the only way that I can de-chaos a situation is to put everything into balance, and everything has to balance to zero.
How do you go about achieving that balance? Is it like a grounding technique that you use?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I use two very specific techniques. The first one is that I meditate. You'll hear me say this 10,000 times. If you hear me say it once, it is the most important thing anybody can do to plug their spirit into their physical body is to meditate.
Absolutely.
The second most important thing is has to do with a well-oiled machine. So I look at it as my meat suit. This is my car. This is my thing. So if I don't feed it well, if I feed it junk, I'm running on junk, right? It's like the difference between high test and ordinary gas, right? It's if the car's going to run better on the high test, put the high test into the engine. It'll run cleaner. It'll run better, right? So the food is important. Lots of sleep is important. If I don't get good enough sleep, and so it's a combination of all of that all together. And so it's just for me, and that my Qigong practice, as you guys see, that is so important. That is so physically balancing because it just forces energy through the entire chakra system on a daily basis and works out really, really well.
That's awesome.
So oh, that's cool. Hey, Berk, how you doing? I don't have the link. So where are we next? Good and evil. Ooh, do you believe in curses? Can you be cursed?
I do.
You do. And how do you get rid of one?
Oh, that is a good question.
Thank you.
Normally I'd to break a curse, it's like a 7-day ritual birth process normally. Usually under a waning moon, so that it's kind of like you're bringing in that new kind of energy, and then I'll do a return to sender and they get it back.
Oh, cool. Well, that's a sneaky way to do it. All right. And see, so I do it completely different. I figured, so Jack has explained that they kind of, they have a 7-day ritual that they work with. And at the end of the 7 days, they have compiled the energy from the curse and they send it back to the sender. I do it completely differently, and I actually internalize it. So when I am looking at the idea of dealing with a curse, what I'm doing is trying to find out what is it in me that has attracted this negative energy to me. And the best way for me to get rid of it is to internalize it, find out what it is. What is it that I don't like or dislike, or what is creating this specific energy? And so it's very definitely an internal meditation. And once I find that energy, I own it. So I become one with the curse, and then the curse ceases to have any power over me.
Right, because you kind of, I remember you were talking about a love curse where you kind of, if someone's wishing you harm, you just hammer into their head how much you love them, and eventually,
that's right.
They kind of absorb that.
Exactly. And so Jack is reminding that I had spoken about love curse, and that when I feel cursed by somebody, I do a meditation. If anybody wants it, send me a message. I have the link in it's written out and described how to do one. It is in my Facebook, which you can find me. It's facebook.com/pepperfire. I am easy to find anywhere. Oh, there you go. Birk will help you blow that curse right out of the water. Curses are easy to get rid of. Easy. Between Jack and I, we'll fix you. Yeah, so where was I? Where was I going with that? Yeah, so getting rid of the curses. What was that?
Was it the love cursing you were talking about?
Yeah, so the love curse essentially, so it's basically a meditation. You visualize the person that is griefing you. I call them griefers because they're throwing their negative energy at me and I need to get rid of it. And so in order to get rid of a griefer, you picture them. I like to picture them sitting in a lotus position. And then I just imagine a stream of golden light pouring down onto the top of their head and penetrating into their skull. And it's really quite painful when it penetrates. And when that light gets into their skull, it starts pushing out the goop that is already inside of them, all the dark, evil goop that human beings collect. It's actually really good for whoever I'm targeting. But it's even better for me because I'm punching out nothing but positive love, 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 love into this hateful human being, cleaning out the goop for them, whether they like it or not. And I end up getting that love back tenfold. So it's a great meditation. Anyway, hit me up and I'll get you the address on. Did you have a question, darling?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Oh, what makes you think that you have a curse against you? Like, what is it that clicks?
What clicks? Jack, do you want to feel that one first?
Normally, I can just feel it. I don't know about you, but it's like an energetic thing. I'm like, something's off, like I'm having bad luck, like what, whatever it is, what's going on. And then I'll always do some sort of divination in where I'll get like a bowl, I'll cleanse it, put some moon water in the bowl shallowly, and I'll put 4 pins in there. And if any of them cross, I know I've been hexed.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's neat. That's neat.
Yeah.
I don't, okay, so this is an interesting thing. I don't tend to pick up on the energies of curses that people or just throw at me. So somebody can't really hex me because I won't take the energy on, right? When I end up getting cursed or getting connected to by a curse, I find that what has happened is that they are in the same room with me. And it's like, those looks that could kill, kind of daggers that they hit you with. Okay. Then I know I'm being cursed, right? To me, that's a curse. They are hitting me right in the same room with every ounce of hatred of their body. And I have 2 options right then, right there. I can bounce it off like rubber, like glue, and throw love back at them, which is sort of the same that you do with throwing that, right? Or I can take it on. And when I take it on, and sometimes, I'm not thinking about it. It's my cousin or my aunt or something like that. And then it's a retrospective thing. I'll wake up the next morning and I'll go, something's not right. I feel off. I feel and then it becomes in as opposed to being like, oh my gosh, they have power over me, because nobody has power over me but me. Right. And that's something that that's when your head plugs into your heart really the first time and you go, ooh, that's me. Then you know what I'm talking about. But that's a meditation thing. You get there eventually, guys. So I know that that's going on. And then it's a matter of my first thing requires me get into balance, get back to 0, because I have picked up somebody else's garbage and I'm carrying suitcases around. And suitcases are what, the expression lightness of being. Drop the rock, drop the suitcases, right? Same thing. You're carrying other people's thoughts and feelings about you. They have 0 value unless you give them power. But I need to be aware that I'm breaking that power and taking my power back when that happens, right? Like, I'll give you an example. Last week, Miss Mia decided that she was going to stalk me with her 150 different little profiles on TikTok. That was
I remember that.
The weirdest thing. And so we ended up had a very interesting experience. Love the RCMP of Airdrie, Alberta. Thank you, guys. Had a little chat with the police of New York State. Thank you, guys. They were all lovely. Oh, yes. Mia was more than one person. Mia has friends. And I can't imagine what they thought when their cell phone provider told them, oh, I'm sorry, you can't dial that number. It has been blocked. Who phones people with a prank phone call and leaves their phone number in the phone? Not too bright, Mia, not too freaking bright. Needless to say, she's lucky. She's in the US. I can't hear you, honey. I think your mic is off. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I just heard you. Yes. I don't know who I'm looking at there. Hang on. It's not. Where's the other girl? Here, Darcy, you got a question.
How do you block energy?
Oh,
like, is there a way to never receive the energy?
Yeah. Don't take it on.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Do you practice shielding? Is that something that you do in your craft?
I have done shielding classes with Wiccan and pagan teachers. It's an internal psychological strength. So you can create a visualization, you can create a spell that creates shielding, but really it's just a knowledge that you are the ultimate source power in this existence, that the world really does revolve around me, not you guys. The world does not revolve around any y'all. It revolves around me, and you're in my space, and you are here because I love you all so much. You need to pick up on this crap. And that includes the wackadoos that come at me. Thank you. Yes, big hearts like this. This is what Jack did. Yeah. It's all about the love. Love is the most powerful magic in the universe. And if you can tap it and pull it, the best, easiest way to tap it and pull it is to give it away. And the more love you give, the more love you get. It is the craziest power. And just in being 100% me without apology, right? Because I'm still a meat suit. I'm going to fuck up. I'm going to, occasionally I'm going to do I'm going to lose it. I have Asperger's, so my brain is perfectly capable of meltdown. That's where the balance thing came from. In order to prevent autistic meltdown, I had to learn how to not get off beam, if you will. I need to learn how not to get so angry or so annoyed that I go into meltdown. So we didn't like that. It's not good. I have been known to climb onto an airplane and fly across the country when I'm in autistic meltdown. Not a nice place to be. If you guys know anybody who is autistic, who struggles with meltdown, tell them to meditate. Best thing I ever started doing.
My brother threw a chair across the room.
What was that, guys?
Oh my goodness.
My brother's has Asperger's. And he
there you go.
across the room for having a meltdown.
Oh, well, there you go. So you have seen it from the outside. Tell him to meditate. He will find his life much, much easier. All right. How many more questions? I have another couple of questions for Jack here, and then we can move on to the next phase of the class today. What is the first thing you would tell somebody when they say they want to start a magical practice similar to yours, Jack?
Thank
you. They think I'm pretty.
I'd
and then I have my earrings.
I love your earrings too. They're gorgeous. I love the red color. Okay, sorry. I just found that I researched something that was like interesting. The first thing that caught my interest, and then that would sort of branch to other things. And for me, that was astrology. Astrology caught my interest, and then that turned into tarot, and tarot turned into divination, and it's just a snowball effect. So yeah,
it totally is. So you would tell somebody to start where?
I think astrology is a good place to start, because it's like it's you, it's the stars, and you learn a lot of terminology that's used, I feel like, in a lot of witchcraft quite broadly.
Wow.
Yeah. So and you also learn. Sorry,
go ahead.
You go.
I was just going to tell everybody on TikTok what you had just said about where to start. So Jack's suggestion is that everybody start with astrology. Now, I think that's a really good suggestion. It would never work for me because I've been doing this for 41 years. And my astrology is like, I barely know that I'm a Capricorn, born on a Sagittarian cusp, and that I have 2 other planets in Capricorn aside from my sun and my moon. I couldn't possibly tell you what those 2 planets are, but there you have it. Oh, the rudeness is in. I am so glad that I decided to do this way, because they're in TikTok. Are you watching that, Darcy?
Yeah.
Are you still watching the TikTok feed?
Oh,
Yeah.
All right.
I got you.
Oh, you are a doll. I just dumped 2 Altana over there. So, all right. Yeah. So, so the first thing I would have said is to learn to meditate. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is to trust your spirit is going to push you in the right direction and allow the divination to come to you instead of the other way around. So it's a different way of doing it. I like to be spirit led, and so it's a little tricky, and it requires a surrender
and that's
phase.
The hardest part.
That is, they started calling it, Jack agrees with me, that's the hardest part. They started calling it, I don't know if you've heard of this, the dark night of the soul.
Yeah, that's the way I learned it. That's what I learned it as. Yeah. What did you call it again?
Oh, I didn't call it anything. I just call it surrender. So so I figured there was a point in my meditations and my personal spiritual belief studies where I got up and I said, wait a minute, how does this work? I can't go this way because my ego didn't want me to continue going beyond the back of the veil, so to speak. And here was this veil in front of me going, no, you can't go this way. You can't go this way. And I'm going, yeah, but that's where my spirit is. I got to go that way. So get out of the way. But it was really the meat suit. It's almost like being programmed, if you will. This is my belief. Everybody else is going to have different beliefs, but I honestly believe that we are programmed to not know who we are at a certain point. And our tasks as meat suits, should we choose to believe it, is to become the God self that we were born as. And if you pull that, what was that question I heard?
I have a question about that. I find that my ego gets in the way a lot when I'm trying to meditate. And is it just a matter of pushing through and just keeping with it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely practice. What you want to do instead of what you want to try and do, Rachel in the Zoom room has asked if we just push through the blockages that keep us from becoming one with ourselves. And you have a friend. And and so pushing through, I look at it in a sense of requiring our spirit to convince our meat suit that it's not going to die. Okay, so that is in a thoughtful sense. In the intellectual sense, the body believes that in order to become one with the universal consciousness again, it must die first. And so there's a bridging of no, we're not going to die. You can't die. And right now I need the meat suit, right? So there is a spiritual conversation that I personally had to have with myself in order to get myself on board, because
I think that for me, my brain must be not even to that point yet, because my ego is telling me, well, I already know how to meditate in theory, so I don't need to do it. And I'm finding that maybe that's the underlying toe of why I can't force myself to, or I cannot seem to fold that into well, I already know how, so I don't need to keep going, but I totally feel like I need to keep going.
This is now it's got 100 different nicknames. That's what I call a spirit trap. Okay, so you've got think of it like one of those bear traps that clamp onto your leg. Okay, so we've got those built in, and those thoughts, we're talking about thoughts that come into our head that don't allow us to move forward and become one with our own spirit, because I already know how to do that. I know how to meditate. I'm good. I'm good. The keys to that is really convincing. It really is it's a surrendering thing. It's the convincing, open the trap, right? because the trap doesn't really exist. The meat suit is here. I like to think of it like a video game. We're here to level up, literally. That is why we were here. If we can do it at a spiritual level, if we can do it at a physical level all day, every day, that's why we're here. He who dies with the best meat suit wins, kind of thing, right? So, right? Oh, you like that, eh? So that's how I kind of look at it, right? And if you can, the sooner that you can get the meat suit and the spirit self to allow the spirit self to run the boat, that's the goal, right? So the meditation is simply the tool that you use to take the meat suit off, or at least open it up, empty it out, right? Because you got to peel all those onions, all the crap that we've built up to the point that we realize that we want to do these exercises. At that point, we are looking at the meat suit and going, okay, I have flaws. I have issues. I am not the perfect being. I am not the goddess or the god that I was born to be. What do I need to do to become that? First thing is go with the flow. You got to really relax into it. You got to really allow it. Second thing is peel off all the crap that we're carrying with us, the hatred for the mother, the hatred for the sister, the hatred for self. That's a big one. The biggest one I've seen people ever have to deal with is the hatred that they create for themselves, right? And if you can get past that hatred and love yourself, that's the tap. You want to tap right into that. You need to love yourself in order to tap that love magic. And once you have that, then it's a matter, you can fill yourself and you're out of the way, because now you've got this bottomless stream, right?
Thank you.
Supernatural, the show's word. Oh, is that what they call it on Supernatural? Apparently on Supernatural, they call it the meat suit. I love it. That's really cool. All right. We did that. Jack, do you actually, you had a question?
Yeah. If you totally surrender, my issue is losing control, because the control is that my ego, because I feel like I get messages for other people. I know who they're for. I know who's coming. I often see them too, but it's random, right?
Right.
And it'll bombard me in my dreams. Like since I started with TikTok and you and others, I'm being bombarded. So
right.
Myself, I feel like, whoa, like I need to know who's coming in and what's going on. I always feel that sense of control. Is that my ego?
Yes, absolutely. Right. Because when the energy, so the question is when I'm blocking that energy from coming in, if that's ego blocking it. And definitely it is, because at the energetic level, at the universal consciousness level, we don't actually exist. Okay, it's a really bizarre concept to wrap your head around, but what's that?
We're just all together.
Yes, right, exactly. So the splinter that we are living, that we are currently experiencing, doesn't exist on the other side. Right. So they don't see our illnesses. They don't see the freaking broken leg that I've got wrapped up in a cast. Right. So they kind of, we are sitting here appealing to a force, an energetic force, a godhood, if you like, and saying, oh, heal me, make me feel better, knowing at a spiritual level that the healing is automatic and magic as long as you believe in it, right? The trick is that the meat suit is not automatic, and the meat suit does not automatically believe in it. So I had to do a way of, in a sense, trick my meat suit into believing that the godhood exists in order to tap the energy and become one with it. Okay, and that's where the surrender comes in. The meat suit really literally has to be taken off so that nothing remains except for that universal consciousness that is self. All right, and there's about 101 different ways to get to that that point of self. But once you get there, then it's just a practice of expanding it, right? The practice of Qigong and yoga are really good ways of nurturing and magnifying those energies. Co-creation is another. If you're working with somebody who can help you put it together in order to both be working on the same energetic goals, then the magic is going to amplify. So there's almost super harmonies that get created like that. Alrighty. Anybody got any more questions? I got one more question for Jack. You still with me, Jack?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have your own tarot deck, and what deck is it?
I do have my own. I have the Rider-Waite deck, which is just because I didn't get into tarot very long ago, and I'm still reading. Like, I'm still learning how to, you know, I'm still memorizing the cards and everything. So we're still pretty early into that still.
That's so great. Oh, well, you'll get better. Hopefully these classes will help you improve your connection with your deck and your practice. So Jack is using the Rider-Waite. So if you guys are using the Rider-Waite, you're welcome to continue using it. It's not the deck that I use, although I have to tell you, this is so cool. So this is my Rider-Waite. If you guys can see this, this is my Rider-Waite. It literally is the world's tiniest tarot deck. There you go, guys.
That is the cutest thing ever.
It. And it is the only Rider-Waite that I own.
How many decks do you have?
I haven't counted them, but there's got to be about 50 by now, and yeah, and I'll tell you what, for as far as tarot collections go, I've got nothing compared to some of the folks that are collecting tarot decks. Anyway, so here's a little Rider-Waite deck. Aren't they cute? Little bitty things. Little lady, aren't they teeny tiny? I think they're lovely. Anyway, I never read with them except when I'm desperate. I keep them in when we go camping and stuff like that, and I have limited space in my pack, and this is the tarot deck that I'll carry with me. And I'm a little weird about my tarot reading, guys. If I go to the grocery store and I've forgotten whether we've got milk in the fridge, well, we don't drink milk, but if I'll ask the tarot if I need coffee cream or not. So just a little weirdness for you with tarot.
I love it.
Yeah. Hey, tall glass of water. Yeah, no, I feel pretty real to you. Do you guys feel real there in the Zoom room? Because we're not supposed to be real. Or I think it's the magic that's not supposed to be real. I don't know. You either feel it or you don't, but it's real. It's quantum physics, man. You either believe in the science or you don't. All right, Jack, I know you had limited time to spend with us. You're welcome to stick around. I'm going to move on to the next section. Thank you so much for coming in. Let's make some more magic together. And I'm so glad to know you.
I'm glad to know you too. Thank you so much, Tina. And thank you to everyone else. I'm going to go to sleep because it's almost 6 a.m. in Australia and I'm tired.
Oh, I thank you so much for getting up early and or staying up late, whichever it was that you did, and coming in. And I will tag you once I post the Zoom onto YouTube and remove the recording that's here. I will be able to have you. I'll tag you so that you get to see the whole interview. And thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sleep well, love.
Alrighty, guys. You too.
Bye now. All right, so you guys, so now we're going to move on to the teaching tarot part, and we're going to start with the suit of wands. And some people are using poker decks, and if you are using a poker deck, you want to pull out the diamonds, because I see the diamonds. Some people are going to tell you that the diamonds are actually the pentacles. I don't think so. These diamonds are so nice and shiny. They look like fire to me. Do they look like fire to you? They look like fire to me. So your diamonds are going to be your wands, and your clubs will be your pentacles in my reading. So if you're using a poker deck, you want to pull out all the diamonds, And if you're using a tarot deck, you want to pull out all of the wands. Yeah, I keep forgetting my camera up here. I am happily ever after. How you doing? It's so nice of you to be watching this. I'm going to get you more in on this whole thing if I can. Sorry for the camera mess. I had this set up better before. Can I do that? Are you gonna? Hopefully that'll be better for you. How's that? This thing's awkward. Da-da-da. How's that? Is that working for you? All righty. And so if you are using a tarot deck, you want to pull out the wands. All righty. So I'm going to read to you guys a meditation that a friend of mine wrote in reference to the wands. Where did you go? Here it is. This is the water. Where are the wands? Here they are. All right. So before I start with the wands, while you guys pull them out, I'll tell you what we're doing here. So as you already know, all of you, I am an energy witch and I work with the energy and the cards. And the energy is easiest to see in decks such as the Crowley Thoth deck. If you've seen it, spelled T-H-O-T-H. And if you haven't seen the Crowley Thoth, that's okay too. Golden Dawn uses these as well. And certain decks you'll be able to see, such as you will see color and flash on the cards that will feed to the energies. I started using an energy system that a friend of mine, Sean Nicole, described at a conference a couple of years ago. And so the easiest thing to do is picture a circle, right? Picture it like a circle of a life. And then you're going to have 4 quadrants. One is hot, one is dry, one is wet, and one is cold. And at the top of the circle, you have fire, which is both hot and dry. On the eastern side of the circle, you have earth, which is the pentacles, and it is dry and cold. And at the south part of the circle, we have wet and cold, and that is water, and that is the suit of cups. And finally, we have air, which is hot and wet, and that is the suit of swords in my existence. Now, some people have swords and air interchangeable, and that's okay because you can interchange those. All right, so if you can take your cards, if you have room on a table in front of you, if you can lay them out in order, ace on your left and the queen, not the king. We want the queen as the last card. So if you're using a poker deck, you're gonna go jack, king, queen at the right. And if you are using a tarot card, you are going to go page, knight, king, queen in laying them out. And then I'm going to read you this little meditation description. These words come to us courtesy of Ellen Lorenzi Prince. And this is an excerpt that she gave us from Reader's Studio. And I'm just going to extrapolate on it. I thought it was just a brilliant representation of the suits. And all right, so I'm sort of plagiarizing it a little bit, but hopefully she won't mind because it is a brilliant teaching. So the suit of wands is literally the suit of fire. And I want you to think about fire as you look at the different cards. You want to think about how if you light a candle with a match, there's a little tiny flame. And the bigger the flame, the more fuel you have, the bigger the flame you get, right? You can think about the sun as another end of the fire. And it is going to be a heck of a lot more fire than just a candle. So if you look at the cards as they go through the numerical progression of the suit, the ace would represent the candle and the queen might represent the sun, right? For the power. Now, You might be wondering, why did you put the king before the queen? I put the king because although it is the completion of the card, the queen is the card that makes it real. Some tarot readers are going to put the king on top. I prefer the queen because for me, the queen is literally, that is where the reality of the cards come through. And here's the Queen of Wands versus the King this way, right? That's where the completion is. All right. So I want you to think about, as you look at the cards, I want you to think about the heat of the candle of the ace and feel the candle flame grow ever so slightly when you move into the 2. As you look at the 3, you see a super harmony of fire growing. You see the energy is getting bigger. It's getting a little bit hotter. It's getting a little bit drier. The space that it will connect with is a little bit larger than it was. Feel the way it radiates each time there's a new flame added to the counting order. Did you have a question, darling?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was interrupted by Videotron. Sorry.
No.
So they came and I asked them not to. I told them I was busy, basically. So
Right.
Sorry about that.
No worries. No worries. Okay. So moving on, you feel the flames growing. You want to feel the energy of the sun as it warms up your skin and it gives you the essence of the spring coming up out of the earth. You want to feel that. Think about the energy becoming part of your breath. It is part of the essence, very essence of your living. Feel the fire as it comes up through your system and grows as you get into the balance and the heat of the 4. You'll hit a 5 of chaos because that's when something gets thrown into the mix and throws it out of the cycle. By the time you get to the 10, you are getting all of the heat and the flame and the warmth in its full energy. And at that point, you can feel absolutely, this is the sun in its entirety. When you look at the court cards, as we call them, they're also the court cards in tarot. You'll notice that there are 3 in poker, but there are 4 in tarot. So what I was doing before I switched to tarot, the Jack will represent a combination of the energy of both the page and the Knight. So it's the beginning spark. It is the beginning movements. All right. So for those of you who are using a poker deck, don't worry about it too much, that whether it's a page or a Knight, it will give you both the energy of both of those cards. All right. As they come into them. So that's your sequence. Now, what's really cool about this sequence is that if you can understand and feel as you're looking at the cards, the way that energy is going to affect the card sitting next to it, then the energy is going to flow together. So for example, if you have a very hot, very dry card, like the Queen, you can't get hotter and drier than the Queen. This is the catalyst, right? This is where, you know how, think of her as the moment right before you're capable of starting a forest fire. It's really hot and it's really dry and it could break into flame at any second. That's a full, complete energy of the Queen. And that's
like the
spark.
energy that crackles in the air before a thunderstrike.
Yes. Yeah. Very similar, right? It's going to be very intense. It's going to be a very palpable, but it will be very hot and very dry. Okay. The hotter, the drier, the higher the card. So for example, if you have a very, very hot, very, very dry card sitting next to a very, very cold, very, very wet card, which would be cold and wet would be a water card. So this will create steam or it will dry out an emotion card, depending on the power of, right? So you don't really need to, you guys know I read reversals. You guys do not need to start with reversals. This card right next to another card will tell you exactly the energy that you're looking at. When you know the hot, dry, wet, cold, you really don't even need a heck of a lot more than that, aside from what each of the individual cards need. So for example, if you have the Ace of Wands sitting next to a, let's say a 5 of Wands, right? And they're sitting this way, you see a progression. I have it on the right. So I'm, you're looking right to left here. I don't know how it sees on yours. Oh, do it this way. Okay. So we're going from the right to the left. Okay. Here you see the 6. I can take the 5 away from these 2 cards, and the 5 that's missing between the 2 of them, I have the 5. I'm looking at it going, that's not the 6, that's a 5. So the 4 between them, there's a balance that's missing between these 2 cards. So if they're this way, it's getting cooler. You see this? There's less heat as I go into the reading. Whereas if it's this way, it's heating up. Do you see the way the energy goes? Okay, so the 5 is hotter and drier than the 1. Okay, so if the 5 is to the right of the Ace, then it's a situation that's getting hotter and drier. If it's the other way around, it's cooling off. Okay. All right. So that's basically, anybody got any questions about the energy before I go into details of the suit?
When you say
anybody?
Hotter,
what?
When you say hotter or dry, do you mean like worse or better?
Possibly, yeah. Right. So you want to think about it energetically and then feel your way into the meat suit situation. Right. So you want to pull the meat suit out of it as you're reading the cards and then slide back into, okay, what does this mean in a human situation? So, for example, if you're reading on a love situation, then the Ace going into the 5 would be, ooh, this is heating up. The 5 might not be such a great card because it's going to create challenges. This is getting hotter and drier as we get into this relationship, right? So think of things like a forest getting drier and drier and drier as the summer goes on and getting hotter and hotter and hotter, right? So it's heating up in that sense. So if it's for a love relationship, you see more and more and more passion coming into the cards. When they're reversed, it's going the other way. You see that? So it's like a growth versus a decline. So that's the way the cycles work. The higher they get, the more energy in the card. Does that make sense? Okay. Anybody else got any questions?
So yes, I do, please. If you would have the 8 of Wands to the left of the Ace, would that mean that everything is up in the air, but that it will calm down?
It could, yeah. I would see that if I saw the 8 next to the 1, right? Because now you're looking at the energy. The 8 is a forward moving energy. It is moving forward. It is growing. Suddenly it's next to a 1. The energy of so we're here with the energy of the 8, right? We know we're about to move forward because it's an 8. You throw a 1 into the mix. Now, I would see that what's missing is the 7, right? So the 7 pips between the 8 and the 1. What's missing is the 7. 7 is the perfect chaos card in my mind, right? So that's where the numerology comes in, right? It's not a big deal with numerology, but if you know a little bit of how numbers work together, this is going to work. Fibonacci codes are useful to look up for that. So the 8 next to the Ace, like that, I would read as you're ready to move forward as soon as you have that idea, that inspiration that is going to come to you. Do you see that?
From the 8.
From the Ace. The Ace right. is the inspiration. The 8 is I've already built this spiritual energy pot, and here we are. now what? How do I move forward? And the next card will tell you in the sequence, right? How am I moving forward? How is the energy going to move? I can read one card. I'm going to get a flat photograph of what the energy is. There's no movement to a single card, which is why when I do my videos, I do a minimum of 3 cards. And that way I know which way it's moving, because the energy is going to tell me how it's flowing. You throw a cup card into the mix, it gets hotter and steamier, right? If you take those 2 cards, give me an 8 of wands, an ace of wands, and then throw an emotion in there, it's either going to get really, really nasty, really, really quick, or it's going to get hot and heavy, baby. You know what I'm saying? So you want to feel the way the energies go rather than think about the way that they go. No, the Eight of Wands. Okay, so they've asked in Alejandra has asked in TikTok if that you wait for an inspiration when you get an 8. Now, the 8 is about being ready to move forward, being in the process of getting ready to move forward. You got it. All right, so she got the numbers. And the ace is about the inspiration, right? The more they come together, the better they come together. I put these back in order. All right. Let me see what else she wants me to tell you guys about these cards before I go on to the individual numbers. All right. Okay, so the ace. I'm gonna start with each of the individual cards. Is anybody not clear on how the hot dry works for the feelings? Anybody got any questions on that?
Yeah, I think because I missed the first part, I'm not quite sure how that works, but I'm getting the gist of what you're saying now. So I think I'm able to follow with that.
Okay, so you want to keep track of the way that the cycles go. They're the same with each of the suits, and then there's a double cycle when you do the major arcana. So when we come back to the major arcana, there's a double cycle. There's the early cycle, which you can think of. So it's the same energy. It's growing from the beginning. You want to think of it as a journey. I like to think of them as circular eddies. Okay, so if we're moving backwards, it's going counterclockwise. So it's very yin in its yang in its energies, and when it's moving forward, which is positive, it's very yin in its energies. So we want to aim, if we can, as a witch, if we can control the energies to have it be our be all and end all, we want it always flowing forward. We always flowing downstream. We want the yin in control all the time. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female, you want the female energy in charge, because it's just the better forward moving energy, unless you're in a yin situation, in which case you need the yang in order to balance things out, right? So you're always looking for balance. All right. What are you confused about, Alejandra? If you could throw that question in there real quick. And then I'll go on to the individual cards. What time have we got? I want to make sure I have enough time. So while I wait for Alejandra to ask her question, did anybody have any questions about how they're going to use the poker cards in place of tarot, at least until you get your own tarot deck, unless you decide to stick with the poker cards for the rest of your days? Anybody? You want to know about the Eight of Wands in the advice position in love. Advice from the Eight of Wands. All right. I'm going to do each of these cards in order. If I was looking at the Eight of Wands, this is a really great card for showing the energy, the way that it fires out. Let me see if I can get this for you guys. Oh, yeah. This is James, this Eight of Wands. So you see, it's about darts of desire, darts of inspiration, darts of things that we want, things that we aspire to, all being sent out into the universe. And that in and of itself, that is the energy of the first. You can't create something out of thin air unless you have the energies all in order inside of your head to begin with, right? If you can't think of it, you can't create it, so to speak, right? But you have, at the point of the 8, you have put together enough of your inspirational energies to be able to move forward and actually control them and move forward into the next phase with them. If that makes sense. Does that help? Oh my gosh. I swear to God, we've got a Christian busload in the TikTok today. You want me to go over the poker cards? So Roxy, I'm going to quickly go over the poker cards again. For anybody that misses any part of this, the Zoom group will be I will be posting it up onto YouTube later and you guys will be able to see it. All right. So here's the poker deck. All right. So this is the exact same. You're going to use diamonds in place of wands, and the Jack is going to replace both pages and knights. Okay. So no matter how this replaces all of the wands, the clubs are going to replace the pentacles, the spades are going to replace the swords, and the hearts, of course, are going to replace the cups because hearts are emotions, right? Thank you for the gift. Cemetery Fairy sent me a rose. How sweet. Thank you very much. I have no idea what to do with those things. I can't even give them away, but they're lovely to get. Thank you. Makes me feel good. All right. So same as with the tarot, the smaller the number, the less power, and it cycles up and it just gets bigger and bigger and hotter and drier and hotter and drier until you are burning ass up with the sun. Does that make sense? I can exchange them and send them to PayPal. Ooh, I'm going to check that out, Kentwood. All righty. All right, let's get into the individual cards. All right. I like to think of the Suit of Wands really as the key energy. For me, spirit is the most important energy in the universe because without spirit, we haven't got a meat suit to function in anymore because there's no spirit in it, right? So that's us stepping in. So this suit really is the connection to the universal energies for me. This is the power of spirit. This is these are the cards that talk about passions aroused. If you guys are taking notes, feel free. I will be typing up my notes cohesively over the next couple of days, and I will post them onto the CanadianTarot.com website for you guys. The aces are the root energy. This is the basis for the suit. In wands, this is the most important. This is where the spark comes from, right? So you strike a match, you have a thought. Now think, thoughts are interesting because they work. Thoughts can be seen as swords as well because swords are air, right? So this is more of a spiritual thought, an inspiration, more so than just an idea, okay? Sudden lights in the darkness. We were talking about dark night of the soul. This would be the beginning of the process of coming into control of that, right? This is, wands is the suit of summer. It is hot and it is dry and it is energetic. It's about passion. It is about spiritual inspiration, heat, desire. Your spiritual path will be found through these cards. Things that you will find in a reading. Wands will represent bold enthusiasm. They will represent creative ideas, gifts, opportunities, bravery and daring. If the cards need to express to you that somebody needs to come out of the gate like a knight on a charging horse, like their life depends on it, you're gonna get this puppy right here. All right, your life depends on this. Get her going. That Knight of Wands is going to come out of play. I talk about, you guys hear me talking about my spirit guide all the time. This is my spirit guide card, the Page of Wands. This is about the teaching, the imparting of control over self spiritually. This is a great card, right? The Knight is about doing it. So the 2, when you're using the poker card, the Jack will be both of those energies, right? The King is it in its complete solidity, in its realness. Oh, we're still on. My partner in crime, Mary, has just realized that she's late. Mary is a retired school teacher. I'm just going to tell her. So hopefully she'll be in here in the Zoom with us in a second. And I go back. Oh, I've lost my TikTok, guys. Oh, there you are. You're back. All right. Where else? There we are. Hey, here we are. Hello, Mary. Welcome, welcome. All right. Wands. This is the spark that starts the fire. The wand is interesting in that, although it is a spark and it is the torch and everybody wants to carry it, it carries with it the warning that it could always burn your fingers on it, right? Not necessarily a good thing. Hey, Mary, welcome.
Hi, sorry about that.
No, that's quite all right. Say hello to everybody here.
Hello.
We've got another 20 people on TikTok who cannot see Mary. And we have one person watching on YouTube at the moment. And anyway, no worries. We'll be going on until 5 o'clock. So we've got another 45 minutes left to go over this suit. Wands are cards that scream of do it. If a card is ever going to scream at you, do it. It's this card. This is inspiration. This is the pull of the energy of the universe dragging you into your spiritual being. All right. This is fast. This is daring and boldness, right? If you are looking for skill and potential and practicability, things that are going to help you carry your situation, they will be found in the suit of wands. Sometimes, and I don't always get these, usually I'll get different cards or a combination of cards. Sometimes this little ace of wands can mean somebody's about to have a baby. They are about skills or potential based on the skills that you have. They will represent health. They will represent vitality. So if somebody's saying to you, how's my health? And you get a wand, you got a good chance of it being a positive card. But the higher you get into the pips are what we call the individual cards. The higher you get into those pips, the more stress gets on the person. And depending on how it falls with the cards around it, the wand could be a negative health card just because it's the wand. All right. The wands tell you never surrender. Never surrender. You've always got energetic powers supporting you and carrying you. They talk about releasing negativity. A really good suit. If you're wanting to use any suit, you want to cast a spell where you want to release negativity, this is the suit to use. All right. You can pull these out of the deck and use those to focus entirely on creating a spell that is going to give you an ability. How am I? So let me quickly give you an idea. So I've sorted these out. You're going to shuffle the cards. I'll show you a quick reading on what do I now. You're going to ask the cards. You want to get into a full meditation. You want to be in a negative energy space. And if you don't know what I mean about that, one day I will do a class on that. But you just want to meditate into yourself so that you're very much in right now in the moment. And then you're going to ask yourself specifically, how do I release this negativity? Want me to wait for you, Rachel? She got something in the oven over there. Hey, Bear, I'm just about to show everybody how to do a release negativity spell. So while we wait for Rachel to come running back, I don't know where she went in such a hurry. Maybe somebody at the door. Oh gosh, I love your mug. That's great. Yeah, so you're going to take the wands, you're going to shuffle them up, and here's how the spell works. So I'll say, okay, how do I release this negativity that's dragging me down and making me nasty and cranky and just horrible? All right, so you're going to shuffle them. I do not use, when I am using the tarot cards for magic, I do not use reversals. And this is not actually, I would use Thoth, the Crowley Thoth deck, just because that's my original deck. But use, you want to have a deck, guys, especially when you get into actually reading for other people. You want to have a deck that you use for them and another deck that you use for yourself. And the reason that you want to use it for yourself is because if you pull an Ace of Wands and you need to meditate on it, it kind of breaks the spell if you have to put it back into the deck so that you can read the deck for somebody else. Okay, so that's the only reason that I would say that anybody would ever need two decks, but it's only if you're reading for other people. All right, so how you shuffle the cards, how you pull the cards is totally not important. Okay, make this yourself, make whatever feels comfortable and easy and works for you, and that is the best way. I shuffle like a poker deck. I will riffle them like a croupier. I have no power or energy. Do I give it to the cards? All of the energy comes into me from the universal consciousness. There is nothing else. That's all there is. And so here we go. So how do I get rid of the negative? She's laughing at me because I'm trying to show you guys how to do this spell. So the three cards that I got the Ace of Wands, I got the Page of Wands. I told you this is the melody card. You're going to love this. And then I got the Four of Wands. Now I look at these cards. How do I get rid of the negativity? Realize, get aware. This is an awareness of the negativity. Once I'm aware of the negativity, then I can embrace and control the negativity. This is about taking it and becoming one with it in a spiritual sense. Okay. Now, then I get comfortable with it. Relax into it and go with the flow. This is a 4, right? This is about the balance of the energy. And that's the easiest thing right there. So the cards themselves go meditate, but now I have a concrete image that I can feel my way through, I can meditate on, and I can use that as the spell. If you want to cast it onto a talisman, you can put the talisman with the cards. You can do ritual around it if you feel so inclined. Some people feel that in using ritual for the magic implementation, they are going to get stronger magic. Personally, I have not got the wherewithal to get into the detail of creating ritual. I like to keep mine as simple as I possibly can. So that's the way that goes. All right, what else can I tell you about the energies? Okay, so the wands are, they're very, very fast. They're very, very active. There's some really cool words that go with the suit of wands that I recommend you guys want to use and think about when you're reading. They are initiate, right? This is the suit that's going to create stuff. This is where it all begins. This is the starting place. Animate, right? Without the energy, there is no life, right? Radiate, right? The heat radiates. It can pulsate. It will come out from the center. It will expand. It's always growing. Love energy, spirit energy is always ever expanding. You want to think about it like a Fibonacci code, right? It just goes. It just gets bigger and bigger until it gets complete. Then it exploded, it implodes and reverses, and it starts all over again. All right. The suit of wands is about distinguishing entities and imposing patterns. Now, what we mean by that, oh, thank you, Birk. That's so sweet. Birk says that I'm putting clarity to this for him, for them. what I mean by distinguishing entities and imposing patterns, if you are trying to figure your way through something, the quickest way to go through it is to feel your way through it. Because if you can get your thinking patterns out of the way, you're going to have a nice downhill, smooth flow to the understanding of your situation. This is what's great about this suit. All right. You'll use wands will be about dispersal, so you can use it to break things apart. The 10, when you get into the completion of this suit, you don't see it in this card, but when you get to the end of the 10 cycle, you've got so much of this energy. The wands energy has all built up, and it is a very heavy burden for anybody to have to carry. Spiritual energy is heavy. It's not easy to carry. It is something that you have to commit to carrying, right? We were back at that. You have to commit. This isn't something that just happens. It's not something that's thrust upon you. If you wish not to be the spiritual being that you were born to be, that's when the free will choice that is described in all the spiritual books comes into play. This isn't about your spirit. This is about your meat suit, right? Your meat suit has to surrender to the journey to get there, right? Perfection detailing, we just did that. How do you get rid of the negative energy? I would personally use the suit of wands, create a little spell, which we just did. But initially what you're going to do is realize that you have the negative energy, recognize it, meditate on it, become one with it, and then own it and disperse it, right? It's a transformation process. What was I? So with the 10 of wands, when you get to the end of this, right? Picture yourself carrying this religious, spiritual burden, and it's very heavy. And you get to the end of the path. And what the next thing that you do? You drop the energy at your feet and you go, oh, and you let it go. That's the energy of the 10. That's the completion of the 10. And this is the same energetic feeling that you are going to have when you become one with yourself. It is, the burden is just immediately dropped. Christian theology teaches it as the rapture. Okay, this is becoming so one with the spirit energy that you not only do you know who you are, you know who everybody else is as well, because you can see everything and all of it at the same time, right? Alejandra, I'm going to do one suit each week for the next 4 weeks, and then I'm going to move into the major arcana. Okay. What else do we want to do here? When you're looking at the energy of wands next to another suit, this is, you want to think about the energy of it as I said, it's hot and it's dry. You want to think about the way that heat emanates off of things, right? So you can see the heat emanating things off in waves, right? The higher the energy card, the higher the wand, the more of those. Think of, you know how the highway looks when you look down the road and you see the mirage in the distance, right? That's the energy of the heat coming up off the highway. You'll see, the way a pot of boiling water steams, right? So the more steam, the more energy like that you have, the higher the suit of wands. Put it next to water, it's going to get steamy before it gets dry, right? You put it next to an earth card, a pentacle card, and it's going to get hard, and it's going to get drier and harder against each other, right? So we'll come back to the energies once we've gone all over the 4 suits, but that's All right, so the negative energies to these cards, these are they're not always the best suit to have, and a lot of people are really, really afraid of wands. I've seen a lot of tarot card readers don't like to see the wands come up because they see them as negative things. The only reason that these cards are ever negative is because we choose to make them so. All right. For me, something being negative, something being positive is entirely a matter of perspective. Okay. So if you can wrap your head around that idea, then there is nothing is ever wrong. You just have to spin it the right way so that it feels better for your soul, right? The energy has to flow positively, all right? And the order of them just really, really works for flowing positively. The commitment, covered that. All right. So the negative energies of the wands, they're unpredictable. All right. The 7 of wands is really, have I got it? Now I've got them all upside down. The 7 of wands is really probably the most unpredictable card. I get this card. This is the 7 of wands in this deck. All right. I get this card and I'm already thinking, holy crap, we have no idea which way this is going to go, right? Because it's so unpredictable. We know that it's growing. We know that it's going to get worse. We're not ready to move into the next section. It's not the peace and calm of the card before it because that was an even number. So it's all over the place. So how do we deal with this energy? We don't. We go with the flow. We let this energy be as crazy and wild as it is, right? If you try and fight the energy, it's going to win. You cannot, right? So we want to think about it like that. Warnings of the wands. It could be too hot to touch, right? I said, you pick up a torch, it's a commitment to pick it up. You also have to be careful not to burn your fingers or anything else for that matter. Depending on the higher the number, the wilder the energy. So you'll see, we were talking about chaos energy earlier on. This is where chaos energy can become very, very dangerous. If somebody's going to see negative spirits or negative energy, these cards can be used to counter and control those, okay? These are where the suit of swords actually depicts things like swords for fighting battles. You can think of the wands as spiritual swords. So instead of fighting physical battles, you're fighting spiritual battles here in that sense. All right. And again, to rise from that, the initial wand, the inspiration, this can be the inspiration of spiritual truths, right? So the higher the number, the more complete the spiritual truth, right? And a lot of people basically are going to be very, very afraid of those cards. If any of you are paying attention, and I keep getting this question, how do you open the third eye? This is the wand. This is the suit to use to open your wand, your third eye. And you are literally, for the third eye meditation, this is so easy. You need to take each one of the cards in order. Now, see, we went through all that trouble to lay them out in order, and I've gone and mixed them up on myself because, you know, I have to be complicated like that. 6 ace page. Where are you going? All right. And then the 4, 3, and 5. All right. So ace 1. All right. Where was I going with that?
Third eye.
The word
was I doing?
Third eye opening.
Oh, yes, to open the yellow. That's the Aspie brain for you. Short-term memory is a pain in the arse. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is take the energy of the wand. And it really, this exercise, you do not need to know what the tarot means in order to use this as your exercise. The ace is the base energy. You're going to focus on this. You're going to become one with the inspiration that I am the energy, right? That's the first card. The second card becomes you and the energy become partners. Okay. The third card is where you and the energy start working together. This is the co-creation card. If you want to do magic with somebody else, this is the card. This is the harmony. This is the magic that the two of you are going to create together. And I really like this card for depicting the co-creation, because you can see the third wand in this card is walking by itself.
Yeah, that's the
right.
same.
The Four of Wands. This is about the balance of everything working together, right? So you've got all the super harmonies, you got the two people, the two energies. Everybody's a soulmate. Perfection detailing, I believe, is just a matter of what you do with the energy working with them. All right. The Four of Wands is the balance. This is the super harmonies really relaxing, coming together and just relaxing into. I like to think of the Four of Wands as very much the energy of gravity in the planetary sense. This is planetary gravity. This is perfect balance in a spiritual sense. Okay. Then they start to get a little negative, because in order for the Five of Wands to come into play, you have to be going through that chaos. And it feels like you've got everything up against your back. It's going to kick you in the teeth if it can. And your best bet is to walk away, because you want to leave the negativity behind, right? So this expresses very much the negativity, trying to take control over the spirit, right? This is the meat. This is the physical break between the meat suit and the spiritual energy. All right. The Six is about you having broken through out of that, right? I love this card because Christians ought to love this card, because you'll see this is very much like the crew coming together to back up the savior, so to speak. I'll show you guys this card. Right. And they've all got their torches. That expresses they're not pitchforks in this case. They're just torches. But there you go. Show our friends on YouTube who are paying attention. You see, so very much kind of like Jesus and the apostles on this card, right? And the energy behind this is everybody's now, after the chaos and all of the upset and everything else, now everybody's okay. All right, we got that. Now, how do we work together to make this work in our favor? So it's the inspirational energies of trying to everything to come together and work together. You're going to see this energy. Oh, I didn't even do that. I should have been doing that from the very beginning. Every single one of these cards, this progression is repeated in every single one of the, in all four of the suits. It is also repeated in the major arcana, but twice. Okay. So the beginnings going up, the beginnings going up. We're at the 7. 8's forward movement. We were talking about. This is the control that comes into place when you are at one with your energetic space. This is real hot. This is real dry. And this is when you spark new creative energies. And this is kind of cool because the guy looks like he is actually holding a match. And that match is what is going to light up the other 7 torches that you see in this. So I really like the way that James drew this card. And then you go into the 9. Oh, that was the 7.
Yeah.
Great.
But what I don't get though is you have chaos with the 5.
Yes.
Then you seem to have some type of calm with the 6. But
yes.
Then he's fighting again.
Yes. Yes.
So what is the 6? If
the six is sort of it's the second level of it's sort of it's almost a knowledge infused chaos, right? So what happens is you're sitting there, you've got this nice solidity and comfort happening with the 6 of Wands. You're good. You're all right, this is great. I have learned to overcome whatever the chaos was of the 5. I have overcome this, and I'm proud of myself, and I'm comfortable, and this is where I am, right? And then all of a sudden, something else gets thrown into the mix. Now we're talking a higher level of spiritual energy, or a higher level of fire energy gets thrown into the mix, right? So think of it, I like to think of it in an energetic way. I really wasn't kidding about planetary gravity, right? The planets sit in conjunction with each other at the universal level because of the way that the gravity pushes and pulls at each of the different planets, right? Otherwise, they'd just be flying off all over the place like comets, right? The reason that we stay in those magnetic pulls or pushes, depending on who you talk to about which way the gravity goes, forces everything to sit in a specific pattern and move around itself, right? So the 7 is, think of it like a new big planet coming in and knocking all the energy out of the way, but at a bigger known level than what happened with the 5. Okay. Yeah. Right. And so looking at that energy again, you're going to take that energy will be controlled, it needs to be controlled in order to light the sparks that are going to be the actual 8. There's the 8.
Yeah.
So now you've come to grips with all the balance of all of that chaos. This is a double level of balance. So you've got an even better idea now how to control the energies. Now we're at a level of control where we want it to go where we want it to go. So this is an outward looking, where the 6 is inward looking and reflective. This is outward looking and expressive. Okay. So this is the energy going out. This is the card of the, I like to think of this as the throw enough shit up against the wall and see what sticks kind of card. This is the energy of, I've got an idea of where I want to be. Now, how am I going to do this? This is the brainstorming card. This is the card. This is the energy of what am I going to do that's going to cause my next step to be energetically perfect. All right. But this is about the forward movement. You ain't going nowhere without this card. And then you get the 9. Now, so many people are petrified of this card because of its intensity. This is the card of really pulling together the energies and working really, really hard at getting to a certain point, and you are almost there. And it's a 9 because it's got all of the full energies of the wands in the card. Except that it's not a 10. So it's not over, it's continuing. All right. The only difference between the completion in the 9 and the 10 is that the 10 is the ending of it. The 9 is continuing. We are almost there. We are not finished. Whatever this travail or this spiritual growth or this spiritual phase, this energy is, it is complete, but it's not over. Okay. The other thing is when you get into a 9 of wands, this is literally the why has God forsaken me card. This is you spiritually hanging on a cross saying, oh my God, how did I end up in such a weight where I've got all this spiritual power and energy hanging on this is a damn depressing place to be, you guys. This is absolutely not a place anybody wants to live for very long without realizing that don't give up sense, because you're so almost there, right? You've
so
gone
like it's the darkest before the dawn kind of.
Very much so. Very much so. Absolutely. Right. So this is that energy, right? It's all of the weight, all of the stress, all of the anxiety, right? And if the better you get at your energetic practice, the less the stress, the weight, and the energy feels negative. It still feels big and heavy, but it doesn't feel negative at a certain point. right? The 9 won't make you cry and kick and scream anymore because you're like, oh my God, I'm almost there. And then it becomes excitement. And this is going to be really great, right? Energy is all perspective. MD813 thinks this is all such BS. MD, you're welcome to scroll on by, baby. I can't convince you that this stuff is real, but I ain't here for you. And then you get the 10. And now the 10 is the heaviest of the wands because this is the end of it, right? But everybody sees the 10 and they go, oh, this is the worst of it. This is the worst of it, but it's over. It's done. You can't get more done than the 10, right? So the next, you finish this cycle. So this is spiritual completion in a way, right? But it's a heavy burden, right? I said, it's like, now this is the Easter card, if you will. So Jesus just came out of his crate and he goes, oh my God, I'm dead, but I'm all of that energy, right? I have no longer got the restrictions of the meat suit. You see that? Right? So now you have, it's the energy carrying the weight, not the meat suit carrying the weight. Do you see how that works?
I lost her there. Which one? Is this a 9?
No, this is the 10.
10.
Oh, you're at the 10. Sorry. Okay, yes, I get that.
All righty.
Okay.
And then we get the court cards. The courts are, all right. Now we want to look at the court cards through fiery elemental eyes. Okay. You want to think about people now. So the court cards very, very often represent people in the readings. You'll hear me, I'm doing a reading. So are you is this queen? Is this you? Or is this somebody in your milieu? When you're reading for somebody else, you'll find it much easier to ask them, is this you? Or is this your sister, your mother, your cousin, whatever? Than to try and guess, okay? Sometimes it's them. When it is them, it is the energy that they want to be embracing. And when it's somebody else, it's an energy that is inflicted or affected upon them, okay? The people who work with fire will be represented by these cards. The people who work with inspiration. So sometimes you'll see them as priests. You will see them as glass blowers, chefs sometimes. I saw a Japanese, what do they call that? Fire cooking on the griddle that they do in hibachi. Okay, a hibachi chef would represent as a fire spirit. A child learning to build something for the first time, right? Somebody who's trying to create something will be represented by these cards. You will see creativity, you will see foresight, you will see resourcefulness, all right? And it's always, always, always the symbolic elements of the suit of fire. Anybody got any questions yet? No? We'll keep going. All right. Let me see what else. What else? I think we got everything. Did I miss anything? All right. I don't think so. Yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
I do have a question because you asked us to put the queen last and yes, the king before the queen. That would be my question. Why?
Oh, well, because the queen is the one that's in charge. The queen is the magical completion of the entire suit. Without the queen is always a catalyst, if you will, especially in this suit. She is the one that brings all of the power to reality. I think I've just knocked over. Sorry, guys on YouTube, I just knocked the camera over again. We'll hopefully get this better working for next week. The king is, he doesn't really create the energy. He is the energy, if that makes sense. Whereas the queen is going to create it. She's the one that's going to make the energy real. So he is what happens once she's created. So for me, she's got more power than he does. Hers is active, his is passive, if that makes sense. Does that help?
Visually on my cards, I'm using a Crow Tarot, and I see that she's got more than he does.
Oh, I like that. Yes. Yeah. So she's got the double masculine power of the Leo in there. Is the Queen of Wands a Leo? I hope it's a Leo.
Ooh,
I don't know the astrology. You guys, if you guys are going to learn, Jack was talking about using astrology to as the first thing to learn a lot of the astrology. I'm just checking my notes here to see. The queens are water cards. Okay. The court cards, each of the court cards, regardless of their suit, has their own energetic aspect. Okay. And the knights are the fire of the suits. So in Wands, the Knight of Wands is the fire of fire. If you really, really want to use magical energy to create something, the Knight of Wands is your spark. Okay. The queen will make it real, but the knight will start the magic along its way. Right. So I would start, if I were creating a spell, I would use the Knight of Wands as the base energy, and I would use the queen to tell me where I was going to find my catalyst or what I was going to use to create the catalyst. Okay. The queens are very much water. So when you get the Queen of Wands, you've got, this is steamy. This is steamy hot. You see the energy of the Queen of Wands based on the presidency that we just had with Mr. Trump, right? He is the catalyst who is going to create great change and great peace for the nation of the United States as a result of what happened during his presidency. Okay, so do you see the energy of how that can show? Also, if you look real close, she's wrapped up with a Russian bear. Okay, that's a bad joke, but yeah, anyway. So where else can we go with this? Yeah, so the elements of them, the knight is the fire, the kings or princes, the kings or princes in the Thoth deck. I believe they are in Golden Dawn as well. Some of your decks are going to be off slightly depending on whether they're pages or princesses or princes or kings. They're going to be different. All right. Yeah. So the knights are fire. The kings are air. Right. What do you get when you cross fire and air?
Dry.
It gets drier. Right? It's not going to get hotter, but you're going to get, it'll fan the flames, right? So that's where the completion, that's where you get the strength and the solidity of it. It's already there. And the pages are earth. So you've got hot and dry and hard. So this is why pages come across as the base, right? This is the start, the younger. Age-wise, the page is going to be the youngest. The king or the queen, I tend to find they're going to be the same age when I'm seeing individuals. The older the person that you're seeing. So if I see a person in a reading is represented by a page or a princess, it's going to be, okay, I'll come back to those, Darcy, thank you. And the older they are, I would look at them. The king would be older, so a mature person, and the queen would end up being the oldest, right? So I'm thinking crone energy at that point. Where else do we want to go with that? I think that's pretty close. We can go into, we'll come back to those. I think I covered everything. And that's, those are your wands, guys. I wonder, Mary, do you have any comments you would like to add for our class?
Well, I'm sorry I missed the beginning, so I'm kind of like trying to catch up. I think you've done a good, you've mentioned everything that I would have, you know, like this.
Right
it's
on.
pretty cool. No, it's pretty cool. It's nice to hear a different version of the same version, which is very Wandish.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. I'm very glad that you made it. Anyway, you missed a really cool conversation with Jack about the difference between chaos energy, chaos magic, which is what Jack works with, and energy magic, which, as you know, I work with. So
that's right.
Yeah, so that's very cool. The energetic aspects, I got this, as I said, from Sean Nakol. I don't know if you've met him, Mary.
No, I haven't. My question is, did you by any chance actually record the beginning?
I'm recording the whole thing in the cloud, and I will be posting it to YouTube so everybody will have access to the class.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Now, before I go, I'm going to go open to more questions. I'm going to go over the poker deck again. For those who are using a poker deck because they don't have tarot cards, or some people, a lot of Christians are going to prefer to use a poker deck because then it won't have the spirituality of the witchy thing, which it tends to be, you know, go with what fits your spirit, guys. This is so important. If it doesn't feel comfortable, it's not going to work. All right. So ace right up through each of the numbers represents the ace would be the ace, the two is the two, et cetera, right up to the 10. With the poker deck, when you get a jack, it's going to represent either a page or a knight. Because I don't have 4 cards, it's got to be one or the other. And you can really attribute it. Both of them are going to be represented by this same card. So this is the base energy of it. This is the get up and get going. This is that card, the king being the complete energy of the suit of wands. This is all the fire in all of its glory. This is the dude, right? If you want a spiritual teacher, this be he or she, as the case may be. And the queen, of course, is the catalyst. This is the one that really makes the spark real. Okay, this is what brings it down to the meat suit level. Without her, it's all just ether. There you go. That is your class on wands today. Does anybody have any questions? We have a few minutes left. Anybody?
I don't have any questions, but I'd like to thank you. This was wonderful.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
Thank you, guys. I'm hoping to have sign up on the CanadianTarot.com website, hopefully before the end of the weekend. I'm working on that. Hopefully tomorrow that will be done and ready by Monday. And the next Saturday and the following 2 Saturdays after that, I will be doing the other 3 suits and their energetic flow and how they work together. And then we'll be moving on after that.
I'm so excited that I got to come in at the very beginning and I'm not like on the 3rd suit. I'm telling you, man, the universe has its ways. I'm sitting here going, gosh, I really, really need to get better in touch with my tarot cards. And here you are, you popped up on my TikTok, and I'm so grateful for you guys sharing all of your knowledge with us.
Oh, well, I am really, really glad. I don't know, you know, I like to believe that the universe works in such a crazy way as we attract and pull into us what we need and what we desire as we need it and as we desire it. I mean, unless we set up barriers to it coming in. And for some reason, the universe has set it up in such a way that all of the planets have aligned, and here we are. And, you know, I like to say that I'm really not much of a teacher. I am more of a, here's the information, now go learn it kind of thing. I will type up these notes and they will be available both through a link on YouTube and happily ever after is still patiently watching on YouTube. And I am so sorry it wasn't a much better video for you. But the Zoom video will go up on YouTube. I will share a brief, I'll make a quickie video for TikTok so that you guys can see it as well. And then that'll happen every Sunday. The replay will go up afterwards. By the time we're done, I'm hoping that the major arcana will only take maybe 2 weeks. But when we're, well, I hope so. For worst case scenario, we'll see. There's a lot of information, a lot of knowledge that you can get out of any of the major arcana. But what I really want you guys to think about as I get ready to wrap up here is, as you're learning the power growth cycle of each of the suits as we're doing this, and how the 1 becomes the 2 and how the 2 becomes the 3, etc. I want you to think about that, though the 1 in the wands and the 1 in swords and the 1 in pentacles and the 1 in cups, all 4 of them are equal to the 1 in the major arcana. Okay, the 4 2s make up the major arcana, the 2, which is the
high priestess.
That's the Aspie brain for you. I can't even think what comes, right? And then you get the Empress, and the Empress is about the growth and the creation, right? That's the co-creation happening. Mommy and daddy got together, made a baby. That's the energy of the Empress. So you see how it grows. Then you get the stability, the comfort, the happy family, right? And it all 4 of the suits and the major arcana. And the only difference with the major arcana is that when you get to the 10, the cycle starts all over again, right? So you can think of exactly. And so you can think of the early, the low 1 through 10 of the major arcana as the cycle, the cycle of growth of the human being, from the aspect of the child, learning how to walk and learning how to talk, and think of the energy of a little child growing up. And when you hit the 10, and then you roll over.
It's a teenager.
Now it's a teenager who's going through the second half of the cycle to become the adult, right? And the 21 is the release into the world of ideally the complete human being. And that's the magic of it. I really want to thank all of you for joining me today. And thank you, Mary, so much for the inspiration you give me. You have no idea. Mary is one of the people here who is at fault for me getting involved in this teaching aspect, because I never would have done this if I didn't have a teacher to back me up. And she has been a wonderful push and a shove and a dear friend. And I'm glad she's
Thank you. Can you just tell me what YouTube is? It's your YouTube, eh?
Yes, it's my YouTube. Yep. Okay. Yep. So I will be posting those.
Post the link for the YouTube as well, or at least send me the thing, because
I will.
Right now I'm confused. I still think it's Friday.
Yeah. It's Blur's Day.
That's right.
I'm going to let you guys go at 5 o'clock. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you to Mary for coming in and helping. Thank you to Dossie in Australia for being my TikTok moderator with the mostest, and for also taking care of everybody. Thank you to Jack for coming in and sharing their chaos magic with us. And I look forward to seeing you guys all next Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll let you know which one of the suits I'm on next. I think the next one is Pentacles. I think I'll go clockwise around the circle. Mm-hmm. And if you missed anything, you'll find it all will be posted within 48 to 72 hours in the CanadianTarot.com discussion group that is set up for, and you'll see my notes that I will have typed up for you, and you'll get it all there. And thank you all so much. And I will let you go.
Have a good one.
So much.
Have a great one.
Great
Thank
evening, everybody, and be well.
Same to you.
Bye, all.
Bye-bye.